everybody tonight. Welcome to the live stream. This is our weekly Saturday night live stream. So, yay, another week in the books and all set and ready to go tonight. We've got several things to discuss. First up, we are joined by Stellarpiper. So, hi, Stellar. And she has recently been to Walt Disney World. So, she is going to share some of her tips for having a great Walt Disney World vacation. She's been a recent visitor, so she'll be able to share some of the latest about what's going on at Walt Disney World and what she observed. So if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, I invite you to go ahead and do so. It's free. It's fun. It only takes a second. Just smack that subscribe button. And don't forget to give me a like, because I always forget to say that. So thank you for being here, and do give me a like. Let me call some attention. Here we have been joined by Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man the Hero, as well as Justin Melo's music and vlogs. So both of you all, welcome to tonight. I hope your evening is going well. So I got a message from Gloria. She's one of our regular folks. She is not going to be able to make it tonight. Saturdays have gotten tough for her. So some of you folks who are regular, you're familiar with her. So hang on here. Okay, there we go. I just wanted to pull this up on the YouTube channel. Somehow or other, I'm getting an error message. Shame.
Uh-oh.
Shame. So let me see if I can figure out that. Stellarpiper, while I'm trying to figure this out, you want to tell them a little bit about roughly when you went?
Yeah, we went about almost exactly a month ago.
Wow.
We were there for a week.
For a week. So you got to see and do a lot during that week, it looked like.
We went to Animal Kingdom and Epcot.
Okay, well, it looked like more than that from your photos that you were posting.
Well, we also, at Disney, we went to Animal Kingdom and Epcot. We also went to SeaWorld and Kennedy Space Center.
Aha.
Which I highly suggest.
Oh, really?
I'm a nerd, so I think Kennedy's pretty cool.
Okay. I do too. Now, hold on. So the error message I got a minute ago said that this was a private live stream. I don't know how that happens, but it is fixed now. So there we go. All right. Sorry about that. Don't know what's up. We have been joined also by Candy the Wee service dog. So hi, Candy. Welcome. Stellar's over here to fill us in on her Walt Disney World vacation, which she says was right out a month ago. So she's got some of the latest scoop. Now, tell me about your vacation. Did you fly or drive?
Oh, we flew. Okay. We definitely flew. I think we flew out of Louisville. Yeah, flew out of Louisville.
You flew out of Kentucky. You flew out of Kentucky.
And out of Kentucky into Orlando. And then reverse on the way back.
Okay, I would expect reverse on the way back. Did you rent a car, or because I know Disney has changed or is changing some of the process for transportation from the airport to the resorts if you stay on property. So I guess the big thing is, did you stay on property?
We did. We stayed on property. Because we were doing so much outside of the parks, we did rent a car. And we also, John and I did not use Disney transportation to get to the resort from the airport, but
really,
we were traveling with his parents and they did.
Okay, so they used it, but you didn't?
We picked up the rental car.
Oh, so you drove. Okay, gotcha. That makes total sense. That does. So, was it a confusing madhouse at the airport? Or was the signage good for like meeting Disney folks for the transportation, or did you notice that?
I did not notice specifically Disney signage.
Okay.
Did you? Mhm.
Somebody told me that they had um, signs up to make it easy to find the Disney transportation. So
Apparently
you
they
may
were there and I'm just oblivious because that is completely out of character.
not. Okay. Well, and it could be that because you were renting the car in Orlando, that you didn't need to pay attention to that, right?
True.
So, which resort did you stay in?
We stayed in Disney's Old Key West Resort.
Ah,
Um,
so what was it like?
it
Was
was
it
like,
set up like a Western ghost town, or
nope, it was basically a Florida themed resort, but
so it
loosely
was
themed.
about Florida more so than anything? Okay, because because of Key West, Florida, I guess. For some reason, I had Western stuck in my brain. Welcome back.
Hang on, I'm having trouble with my sound.
Okay. It seems like Stellarpiper and I are having an on again, off again relationship this evening. Yep. And she's off. So while she's getting reconfigured here and getting back on, um, Voice of Spring, you like that song. Awesome. Here she is again. Welcome back.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
My
So,
audio is much better now.
okay. So you were at the Old Key West, and what tier is that? Like, if
It,
I'm looking at the Walt Disney website, is it like, where is that in the
it's
giant
a
scheme?
it's a Disney Vacation Club resort.
Okay. Okay. So that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
So, so was it, how, what was it set up like in the rooms? How were they?
it was. But this it was basically a 2-bed, 2-bath apartment.
Ah, okay. So it didn't have all the little Disney touches? Like this folded little towels into the little characters and Mickey Mouse everything, like Pop Century and some of the other places.
Not that I noticed.
Ah,
I mean, I'm
okay.
sure there was a mouse somewhere. I just don't remember seeing one.
Okay. Hopefully you saw one at the park.
I did.
Okay. So, all right. So, kind of walk me through the parks. Did you have what do they call them, you all? Is it called extended magic hours? Where you go in early or you can stay late depending on the day. Did you guys get that benefit?
No, we didn't.
Okay. Are they not offering it or did you just not take advantage of it?
I don't think they're offering it right now.
Okay. So at least if they are, then you're not it's not well known, I guess.
Well, hang on. I'm being corrected. Apparently they offer it now, but not when we were there a month ago.
Okay. All right. Well, good. So people who are going recently will have that option. Because I know when we've been in the past, um, it's been really nice to have those extra hours because there's not a lot to do in the park, but it was always lighted up. So you, we like taking advantage of it being a little quieter and a little calmer and just being able to take in the lights at Walt Disney World and just kind of enjoy a less hectic experience, but in the evening. But of course, the downside is you did have to spend the day at the park to get to the evening. And there is a little bit about being kind of tired. by the end of the day at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Definitely a thing.
Yeah.
We took it easy and rested and relaxed, but we were still pretty wiped out by the end of the day.
Now, something I like to do when you guys were younger, and for those who are listening, if you don't know, Stellarpiper and I are related. She's my daughter. And one of the things that we used to do when she was younger is we always stayed on the property because they had a good value. And we would dash to the room in the afternoon when it was hotter outside and we were all kind of getting tired. And y'all know how it's like with kids when they are hot and they're tired. And we would dash to the room, shower them off, have them take a nap, and then they would wake up completely refreshed and ready to go and go and go and go. Just like, what is it, Little Bunny Rabbit that goes?
The Energizer Bunny.
The Energizer Bunny, yes. And Candy says, it sounds like it would be cool to see the lights. You know, it is, Candy. It really is, because it's almost like you have the same amount of lights as you would like at a theme park or a really heavily lighted up park during the Christmas season. But I'm not talking about Christmas. I'm talking about like the rest of the time. So it is. It's really, really pretty. And I felt like to take it all in, you really needed to have that extra time. You know, it was nice. But Stellar didn't get to do that. So
No.
sorry, Stellar.
I did get to the Food and Wine Festival, though, in Epcot.
Did you like it?
It was so delicious and so expensive.
Yeah. So do they still have it set up where you go around to the individual, I hate to say booths, but then they're not
That's kind of
necessarily.
what they were.
Okay. They, but it seemed like they're not just a flea market canopy with a tablecloth thrown on the table. Or they weren't anyway when we went.
No, they were a little more substantial than that. I think your typical concession cart type thing.
Okay. Okay. So what did you like best? Which one?
Um, one of my favorites was a lamb chop from Australia.
Ooh.
They had done it with some pomegranate and some sweet potato puree, and it was delicious.
Wow. It sounds really interesting with the pomegranate.
Yeah, I didn't think it would work, but it did.
Nice. Nice. So what would you say the average cost was to go to the little tents?
$8 to $10 a plate, I'd say.
Okay. Okay. Several years ago, when your dad and I went to the Food and Wine Festival, we shared a lot of plates.
Yeah, we did too. The only one we shared when it was like feasible. There are some things that don't split well,
Like the lamb chop.
like the lamb chop, and we each got a beignet, I think, right?
Okay.
We got our individual something else that didn't split, but we split most of them.
Okay. So, what were some of the shareable items?
We split a filet mignon with mushrooms, a deconstructed pavlova dessert.
A deconstructed pavlova dessert. What is that?
It was like a couple meringue cookies with some cream sauce stuff and some berries. So it was light and cool, which was exactly what we needed.
That light and cool are two good things for Walt Disney World. So, how warm would you say it was when you were there? I just have to ask.
Pretty toasty. Pretty toasty.
70 degrees, 80 degrees, 90 degrees?
Felt like 90s.
Felt like 90s. Okay. And of course, Florida is really humid. So even if the temperature is lower, it can still feel a lot hotter to your body.
It was definitely steamy.
Because, yeah. I don't think there's any place hotter than a warm, just really steamy, muggy day in the South.
I mean, that is the entire principle of a sauna. Warm and steamy.
That is true. That is true. So, back when we went last time, there was a money saving thing that really helped us, and that was being able to get free ice water from any Disney vendor that had a fountain. Do they still do that?
Probably.
Okay.
We did not take advantage of that. I took my backpack and we loaded it down with all the bottled water I could fit in it. So we were pretty okay.
Okay. Yeah, that is a thing that the water did taste a little different in Florida than it did at home.
And being in the apartment, we had a refrigerator and freezer. So the water was already cold when I shoved it in the bag.
Okay. Nice. So that's good. So it sounds like Disney is still allowing you to bring your own food in, or at least your own drinks.
Yeah, they have some restrictions on what bags and coolers you would carry, but you can still bring in water and whatnot.
That's good. One of the things that we did last time, which was so nice, it was so good. We were able to take our full lunch in and take in the sub sandwiches that I had made and our little bags of chips and our apples, which really helped make it much more cost efficient and no standing in line. When we were ready for lunch, we just found us a bench and had our lunch. Is that still a thing?
We did not do that, but there were other people who did.
Okay, so you saw it. Saw it happening. Okay, and let's see. Candy, the We Service Dog, is saying that she grew up in Anaheim, so she went to Disneyland almost every weekend. And she said she had friends whose parents worked at Disneyland and that Disney had fireworks every night at 9 p.m. in the summer.
Neat.
Do they still have the amazing fireworks shows?
I'm sure they do. We did not stay in the parks long enough to find out.
No way! No way!
We were wiped out. So we were usually gone before the fireworks.
Okay. Yeah, that is one thing about Walt Disney World. You want to take up hiking before you go.
And wear hiking boots.
Okay, I would never thought about hiking boots, and all the times I went, I always wore sneakers or trainers, whatever you prefer to call them, tennis shoes. So you suggest hiking boots?
Hiking boots or hiking shoes. There was one day where we walked like 10 miles, I think my pedometer said. So something that can handle that level of movement.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot. So, yeah, very definitely you want to be practicing up before you go.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So, I know you're a ride person. What rides had the longest lines and in what park did you go?
The longest line had to be Rise of the Resistance in Hollywood Studios. But it was worth it.
That's a new one.
Fairly new. It's only a couple years old.
Okay. Well, this is still pretty new in my book. Plus, you got to remember, COVID like shut down the whole world. So that still helps keep the newness level up. So, did you like it?
It was totally worth it.
Oh, it was. What did you like about
totally
it?
Worth it?
What made it worth it?
It was not so much a ride as it was an immersive experience in the Star Wars universe.
Wow. Okay.
Like
So
The
when you
first
say immersive experience, are you wearing your own costume? Or tell
ev-
me about what that means.
everything short of that.
Okay.
You first you they herd you into this area where you get a speech from Rey about joining the Resistance, and then you go on the transport, which gets captured by the Empire,
Ah, okay. Was that
and you're
tense?
herded. Do I know?
Was that tense when you got captured by the Empire?
It
Did they have
it
like
was.
suspenseful music and okay.
At that point, we were in kind of a bus with the simulator screen on it, so it looked like we were actually in battle and actually got captured. And from there, they herded us into this. I swear, it looked like they had copied the Death Star set and brought it to life.
Wow, I bet they did because Disney Imagineers, who do all the creative genius, that sounds like something that they would come up with. So did
It was
you?
neat.
So tell me about the passes. Were you there like before they toggled the fast passes around, or
Um, they
before or
had they had just switched to the payment model for fast
after?
passes,
Okay.
so we did not use fast passes except for in Animal Kingdom,
Okay.
and that was only because John was too tall to fit on one of the rides. So as a consolation prize, they gave us some fast passes for free.
That's nice.
It was very nice.
Okay. So a word to the wise, go with somebody tall.
I mean, yes.
Okay. Go to some with somebody tall and fabulous. So, okay. Now, how was it working? Like, did you do the passes? Did you pay for them on your phones when you got there? Or tell me more about that.
The fast passes, because we got them because John couldn't ride the ride, they loaded them onto our Magic Band. The cast loaded them onto our Magic Band for us.
Okay. And the magic bands are just kind of like about the size of a smartwatch, right?
Maybe a smidge bigger, but not a lot.
Okay.
Like my Magic Band was almost the same size as my Fitbit smartwatch.
So it is about the same size. Okay. So, all right, you mentioned your husband being tall, and that triggered a question that I have on my sticky note right here. For people who have disabilities, like specifically you have epilepsy, how was it visiting the park?
Um, it was fine for me. There were I don't there was not any ride I could not do because of epilepsy. Um, it was Disney is so much better than SeaWorld
Okay,
in
well
that respect.
we can talk about SeaWorld in just a few minutes. So, do they have good signage?
Yeah,
Okay,
and there's a cast member at every ride.
sure.
So if there's any questions or concerns,
Here are some results. Oops, I made the mistake of saying, okay, let me turn this off. Okay, thank you very much, Google.
I'm just glad mine didn't turn on.
I didn't realize that I had triggered it, but what can I say?
We trigger our office Alexa at random times, and it's always entertaining to see when she pipes in.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that. Speaking of coming in, I see that I missed Joshua Williams saying hello to him a minute ago. So, hi, Joshua. I'm sorry, but welcome. It's good to see you. And he went live for a little while the other day testing things out. and did a pretty good job. You know, you're always nervous your first time or two, and he just kind of had it nailed. So, which was cool. It's a little off topic, but I just wanted to toss that out there. So, okay. So they loaded the fast passes onto your wristbands, which are about the size of a smartwatch. You said, how? And then we talked about the signage. How many, like, what percentage of the rides did you feel like you could safely go on? Now, your epilepsy is photosensitive, and I know that there's a huge range of, you know, how much or how little can, and we're all different. But for you personally, what would you say? Roughly, what percentage of rides did you try to ride, and you were successful with?
Um, we had a hit list, but everyone I
Okay.
rode, everyone I even wanted to ride was fine.
Oh, good. Did you have any problems with the Ride of Resistance?
No.
Did I say that right?
Rise of
Okay.
the Resistance?
Rise of the Resistance. I said
Yeah,
rise.
I had no
Right.
problems with that.
Okay,
I am,
good.
I am having problems with my audio, so I'm gonna have to back out and come back in.
Okay. There we go again with the on again, off again relationship between mother and daughter.
Sorry.
The way it goes, the way it goes. While she has stepped out, I want to draw your attention. I've got some shout outs going on right down here. Just my way of saying thanks to everybody who's in the chat who is a YouTuber. So thank you very much. And let's see here. Okay, I think I'm good on the. Excellent. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had all the comments, and it looks like I do. And don't forget, like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Now, I promised a regular visitor here named Gloria that I would do a couple of tips, travel tips, on every live stream. So we're talking about Walt Disney World, and we're doing some travel tips for that. But I also wanted to just toss out a couple that I have. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Candy just hit us with a $1.99 super sticker. Yay! Thank you so
Thank
much,
you, Candy.
Candy. And for me, this is a really big deal because I'm trying to raise money for a service dog, which will, like, give me my life back. Stellar can attest. And, you know, it's everything is a help, and I totally appreciate that. So thank you very much, Candy. You're
Thank you,
awesome.
Candy.
Awesome. And Candy knows what it's like because she has a service dog. And I'll talk about my experience bringing a service dog to Walt Disney World in just a minute. Let me get this. Let me get this tip tossed out. All right. We talked at Walt Disney about being able to get free ice from any place that had a fountain in Walt Disney World. You could just walk up and get a free cup. So there's one thing, if you don't have your water bottle or your little, like I love these Contigos because they don't leak. They're great. You know, turn them upside down the backpack, and I am good to go. But if you want something that's smaller that you can just toss into your backpack, there are these. And these are actually cups. And they're collapsible. And you just simply toss this into your bag. And, like, you can even forget you've got it. Like, I do that all the time. But I carry this in my purse. They're collapsible with the lid on it. And all you do, they're silicone. And all you do is pop them open. And you can get a small cup of ice right there. They are they're really good to have. You can get them. I got these at Amazon, but I mean, like you can get them other places too. And then when you're finished, just pop it in together. It'll do hot or cold. So one of these little collapsible cups, I think is a really good thing to have. So that's one travel tip I wanted to pass on. Also about the cups, they have in the middle, they have got this empty space. So if you're like me and you have to take some medication, you can just pop it in the middle right here, put the lid on it, and voila, you got your medicine and your cup in one little handy gizmo. Don't you like my technical term there? Gizmo. So that is my one thing, because one thing you really want to do at Walt Disney World, we've talked before about the importance of staying hydrated. And if you are going someplace where it's hot, like Walt Disney World, you definitely want to stay hydrated, and that's where these little things can help. They can be a little easier to tote around than the bottles, although I do have to say I still like my bottles, so I just toss this in my purse and I can forget about it. Candy says, yes, I do know what it's like not to have your service dog, aka medical equipment. And Stellarpiper says, fuzzy and lovable medical equipment. Yes, and that's exactly what service dogs are. They're fluffy and they're happy and they're hardworking and they work and they love you and you love them, but you have them because of need. And when I took mine to Walt Disney World a few years ago, I can tell you that was like the best place to go with a service dog, because all of the staff was really well trained and nobody gave me a hard time. Nobody questioned whether or not he was a service dog, because sometimes that does happen because of the proliferation, basically, of fake service dogs. So we didn't have that problem at Walt Disney World. Everybody was real accepting. Also, Walt Disney World is really pretty darned accessible. I won't say any place is perfect, but they do a really good job of that. And if you need to, you can rent a scooter or rent a wheelchair. So with most things, just having just a little grade or just being flat and everything's really wide, because they have to accommodate sometimes huge numbers of people. So that made it easy to get around in for somebody with disabilities. And of course, Stellarpiper, you mentioned, we talked about your epilepsy and you were able to ride a lot of the rides, and which is good news. So accessibility plus the rides. Now, how did you get the information on which rides you could ride and which to avoid? Were there signs up at each ride, or did you go to guest services?
Neither. I went to the app.
Okay, so it's on the app. Excellent. I know in the past you've had to go and wait in line at guest services and get the information from them. So the app sounds like a really good thing.
Came in handy.
So you'd recommend that?
Yeah, for sure. Get the app.
Is it kind of a necessity now, would you say, to have the app? Okay, it was really leaning that way when we were there last. So, and Candy says, yes, indeed. Yep.
There's actually two apps.
I'm sorry.
There's two apps. There's the My Disney Experience app, which is the one you really need. And there's the Disney Parks Play app, which you don't need, but it's got like trivia questions and stuff, and it's intended to pass the time in the lines.
Nice. So it makes it seem like everything's going faster.
Yep.
Which Disney is, Disney is really good about that. They know how to keep the line moving and they know how to keep you engaged. So the lines, yeah, you may wait a while, but it doesn't seem like as long as it could be, you know. So, which is really nice that Disney has done that. So
It
that's
was kind of
great.
fun.
All right. Now, Disney has gift shops and things don't go down in price. How would you rate the gift shops compared to the last time you were there? Were they about the same price, lower, higher?
Slightly higher, but not outrageously so. The most the most expensive souvenir I bought was a lightsaber.
Okay, wow. So tell me, lightsabers. I'm still getting used to the whole Star Wars and Walt Disney World marriage there. So tell me about the lightsaber. Is this one that you make, or you just walk into the gift shop and say, I want a lightsaber today?
Um, I made mine. John bought his. But if we had to do it again, I think we would both make one.
Okay. So did it take a long time to make it?
Not as it 20 minutes or so, but it wasn't. It's Disney, all right. So you're not just putting parts together. There's a mentor Jedi walking you through the process, and then there's the
Ooh.
soundtrack in the background, and when it talks about the Force music plays. So it was very Disney.
You mentioned music. I wish we had thought to ask Justin to come because he could have sung a Disney song for us. He does great. I don't see anything. Like
Sorry.
I see. Ah, so turn it on.
It makes the noise.
Ooh, it's got the noise. Okay, turn it off. Turn it off. We're good. We're good. Okay. So it's a noisemaker in addition to being a light.
I mean, it makes the noise from the movie, so it's not. Yeah, it's a noisemaker and a light.
I can see where some kids' moms might get tired of that really, really fast. Now, are they still letting you send things to the resort so
I
you don't
don't.
have to carry them around the park all day?
No, they're not. I carried it around all day.
Aw. Oh, see, that's a shame because it used to be that you could just buy it at the gift shop and it would just be magically transported to your resort and you could just pick it up there. So I'm really
Yeah, I hope
sad
they
that
bring
they're
that back.
not doing. I'm sorry, what?
I really hope they bring that back.
Yeah. Maybe it's just one of those COVID things and it's just temporarily whoosh,
I
gone.
hope so.
And it'll just magically reappear. Because that was really nice. Because the last
That would
time
have
I
been
went,
handy for sure.
well, maybe not the last time I went, but one of the times that I went, they had these real cute wine glasses, with the cute little Disney logo and things on them. And the only reason I bought those was because I could have them sent to the resort. Because I know me, I drop things, I knock them off. I knew they were going to get just plumb smashed, we'll just say. And I could have them transported. And it was wonderful. So hopefully they'll bring that back.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. Now, Candy, the wee service dog, had a good question. And this is one, what rides are good for service dogs? Because I'm sitting here, I'm not a ride person, but I do remember seeing one on the carousel. And you could take them in also, at the time, you could take them into what they called the Carousel of Progress, which is okay. You're in a room and you're moving, and I didn't have any problems with Tomlin there. Um, but I have to watch a lot of rides because it triggers my epilepsy, and nobody wants to have their day ruined by having a seizure. And what else can you?
That's something you should either look at in the app or talk to a cast member about. Because it depends so much on the temperament of the puppy, the dog. But like both the new Ratatouille ride and the Rise of the Resistance ride had some quick movement, like go one way and then you're suddenly going another way. I don't think that would be very dog friendly. There's a couple boat rides that would probably be fine, like the Three Caballeros ride in the Mexican Pavilion in Epcot, where you're just sitting in a boat and it's just kind of chill and indoor.
He was kind of floating.
Yeah, that one would probably be fine. The Navi ride in Animal Kingdom, that way, is probably going to be fine.
Now, I would kind of hesitate, just me personally, I would kind of hesitate to take my service dog into Animal Kingdom because it is Animal Kingdom. So, in some ways, it is like a zoo because you do have all the different types of exotic animals that they have. And I feel like for me, that's one place that we did not take Tomlin because I just felt like with all the animals there that he's not familiar with, I mean, it's not like a horse or a cow or a chicken, you know. So we decided not to take him into Animal Kingdom.
It's changed some, I think, because the only time we saw like the super exotic, like the elephant and the zebras and all that, we had to specifically go on a safari to see those.
I love the Hamby Safari. I love that. That was like one of the best things that they had. You actually get in a Jeep and you go around and it simulates a safari, and it is a cool thing.
It was
But
neat.
the lines used to be like so long for that.
We looked out and there was like no line for it.
Wow. Because it used to be like the thing, and you'd wait a very, very, very long time. So now on the transportation and stuff. Now I took Tomlin. You mentioned boats. Obviously, I didn't take him on the boat ride because I totally forgot about the Mexican Pavilion. Um, but as far as Disney transportation, the monorail and the boats and the buses, he went on all of that with very little problem. The only problem, it was not him actually, it was me more than him because it was the first time we'd ridden a boat. So I was a little nervous. And when you have a service dogs pick up on your nerves. So if you're nervous, the service dog may be nervous. And we were at the first boat, and you actually had to step up a little bit and into it. So you stepped up and into it. So there was like a little drop there on the other side. Well, I have a leg brace. I don't walk too well, okay? And case in point, I have a damaged foot and a broken toe right now on my good leg. But anyway, I digress. So here we are. I've got this step up and then down, and it wasn't huge, okay? It was like maybe just like 4 inches. But I bungled it. And then he was like, okay, you are done. This is not safe. I am going to block you. You are done. And when my service dog got in his mind that I was done, he was not having any of it. So we
Someone
had to
with a
wait
very
on.
stubborn dog.
Yes. Well, and that's what you want because he's taking care of you. So we waited. The attendants there at Walt Disney World just were great. And they're like, hey, if you don't mind, there's another one coming to be here in about 5 minutes. So if you'll just step right here, we'll just board you first when it gets here. And it was pretty level, dock to boat. Most people would have had zero problems with it, but me being me, of course, I did, because that's just me, my crazy life. So we stepped aside, and then sure enough, when the other boat came, we just stepped right on it. The only boat that I think we didn't try were the canoes over at Fort Wilderness. Regular transportation, very little problem except for that one time. Did you get to go over to Fort Wilderness at all?
No, we did not.
Oh, see, that was a great place. If you couldn't get, let's say you wanted to go to Walt Disney World, but you didn't want to spend all day in the park, and maybe you added a couple of days on either side. Maybe you added a day at the beginning or end. At Fort Wilderness, you got to go over to the water. That used to be a really good place to see the fireworks coming from Magic Kingdom, because you got to see them up over the tree line. Now the ones that are like down on the ground, you really couldn't see that well, but anything tree lining up, you were good to go, and you could just watch it, and it was really nice. Something else too about, oh well, you already said you slept in for the fireworks.
Sorry.
Okay, because one thing that we got to do that was really, really cool the last time we went to Walt Disney World, which has been like 2.5 years, we were able to look at the time for the fireworks and look at the time for the boats. And we were actually able to get on a boat in the middle of the lake, regular Disney transportation, no extra cost or anything. And so we were on a boat in the middle of the lake while the fireworks were going off. Hashtag coolest thing ever. Just saying. So, what would you say your cool moment was at Walt Disney World?
Rise of the Resistance.
Rise
and
of the
making
Resistance.
a lightsaber.
Okay, all right. Now, I have to say, making the lightsaber would be really cool.
It was really cool.
I want to toss into Candy the Wee Service Dog says Candy, which is the Wee Service Dog, is great with animals. She's been to the Toledo Zoo. They have many more animals than our zoo, and the leopards and other wildcats came up to the plexiglass and looked at Candy. And Stellar says that sounds neat. She'd probably do fine in Animal Kingdom. And Candy the Wee Service Dog says that she actually loved the animals. The only animals she watched their behavior was the giraffes. Neat. See, my Tomlin, I don't think would have been like that, because his head sometimes was on a swivel. Not most of the time, but sometimes. So, and your lightsaber brought me to one of my other travel tips. It's not a big deal now because most of us have these things called cell phones. And on the cell phones, there is the flashlight. And one of the things that I really strongly recommend is taking the flashlight with you. So if you don't have that on your phone, or if you're concerned about your phone battery dying at Walt Disney World and going into the death throes there, bring a little flashlight. Because in the evening, when the sun starts to go down, especially if you're doing evening magic hours, it can be helpful. Even though you have all the twinkling lights and it's gorgeous, there are some times when it can be helpful to have a flashlight. So let's say you're walking down the main area, but there's a little bench over to the side and you want to go sit down for a minute and just breathe. Then having the little flashlight with you can really help in those situations. And if you're like me, stick in your pocket, because one thing that always happens to me without fail is I'm throwing stuff in my backpack and I can't find it.
Yeah, I've lived that.
So I can get out the flashlight. Just get one of those little bitty, like 2 or 3 inch flashlights. You can pick them up sometimes at the Dollar Tree. And I love the Dollar Tree for Disney stuff. But you can use that flashlight and help you dig around in the bag to find whatever it is you need. So if you're looking for your collapsible cup or your billfold or anything like that that's in the bottom of the bag, that little flashlight can help. So, and believe it or not, we were just there in a storm one day, and Florida is known for having storms, but we were in one of the rides and the power went off for just a few minutes, but it gave me a lot of comfort to know that I had a flashlight and could see. So, very helpful, very helpful. 2 little travel tips there.
I brought a little battery backup and a cord. So if my phone was ever like in need of a charge, I could just plug it in, have the battery backup, and not have a dead phone.
that was going to be my next thing. How was it with charging stations for your cell phone?
I don't think I ever saw a charging station.
Okay, so you really had needed to have a battery pack.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Well, no, that's a lie. I saw one once.
Okay.
And that was in Epcot.
Love Epcot. Now, do they still have the Coca-Cola in Epcot? International Coca-Cola, so you could run around and get like little bitty, like 2-ounce, 3-ounce Dixie cups of Coca-Cola.
I think they've revamped that. We skipped it because the line for Coca-Cola was out the door and down the block, and we were just no.
Okay. Well, all those different flavors of Coca-Cola, some of them are quite different.
There is a new ride for the movie Ratatouille in Epcot.
Ooh, say more.
If you've never seen the movie, you need to see the movie before you ride the ride.
Okay, so see the movie first.
The premise of the movie is a rat becomes a chef. So in this ride, you're basically, from the rat's perspective, running around this restaurant kitchen while everybody is trying to catch you.
Wow, okay. And that's the perspective. That really sounds pretty cool, though.
It was pretty cool.
I get, because most things, I mean, that's why you go to Disney, for really cool stuff. Except the weather. But I will say, we mentioned the Mexican Pavilion in Epcot a little while ago. I spent an hour in there one time just cooling off. Because we booked our trip in early May, and they had a record-setting heat wave for that time period. We were about to die in some places. And it was actually so hot. I'll tell you about my service dog, Tomlin. The pavement was just really super hot because it is much hotter on the pavement that absorbs that sun than it is just in the general airflow. So because of that, I didn't want his paws to hurt even through his booties. I was concerned. So Walt Disney World, you could actually board your dog for the day. I don't recommend always boarding your service dog, but that was a situation where I really felt like it was best for him. And as a husky, he had a double fur coat, so I was concerned about possibly he would overheat. So we took him and boarded him, and he did fine. Which was
they really did spoil him.
They do. So
they are the reason he likes Parmesan cheese.
That is true. So one of the things that I used to love to do for Walt Disney World is booking that extra day on the end and help stretch the trip. And you think, when you hear someone originally say this, you're like, why would anybody want to go to Disney and add days to the trip if they're not going to the park? And that's because you could do Disney transportation without ever having to step at your foot into a park. So, if you wanted to go check out the resorts, or if you just wanted to ride the monorail or the boats, the Disney transportation, and you just wanted to float across the lake, you could do that, and you didn't need a ticket. They also over at Fort Wilderness, it's they have it set up so that it looks like a wooded area. So they had a trail you could walk. They had horses that you could rent if you wanted to go horseback riding. They had other gear that you could rent. It was really a lot of fun, even though you don't necessarily have a ticket. And I feel like it made it much more affordable. And having that time actually kind of helped de-stress the trip just a little bit, because the Walt Disney World's fun, but it does get a little stressful sometimes. Don't you think, Stellar?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So just when you get really hot and you're hungry and you're hot, you kind of tend to people get grumpy, and that is when you get stressed. So, take that extra day, spend an extra night there, ride the transportation, go see the other resorts. Grand Floridian sometimes has live music that you can see for free. Just go to the Grand Floridian Resort, check the schedule, because with COVID, everything has changed. But they did have a pianist that would play and a band that would play. So you wanted to check their schedule times, and do check now, because, like I said, COVID is turning the world upside down. And Stellar is trying to talk, but no sound is coming.
That's because I was talking to my husband, who, the band and the pianist at Grand Floridian have gotten chopped.
It's my understanding from something I read is that they're going to be bringing it back. But
I don't know. All I know is my husband, which is my source of all things Disney info, is saying they've been chopped. I don't know whether they're coming back or not.
All right, so check. But even if you don't, it's still a really neat thing to go walking around and checking out the different resorts and so forth.
Disney Springs is pretty cool too.
Now, I'm looking at the Grand Floridian right now on the Walt Disney World website, and it's got it listed. So let me pull this up, because it could be something that they've added within the past few days. Because, like I said, things are always changing at Walt Disney World. So there you go. Excuse me. Because, like the time, Saturday, October 23, times 3, 4, and 5. And it says view all times. And you can add it to your plan, so it'll show up in the app. So there you go. And it's in the Grand Floridian. And that's something you can do without having to purchase an extra ticket. So, it's those little things that kind of help make it neat, and it can help make it more affordable, because let's face it, Walt Disney World is not a cheap place to go.
No, it's pricey.
Yeah. So you were able to pick up some souvenirs.
Yes.
Outside of the park, right? Or were you inside the park?
So Lightsaber, I was inside the park.
Okay.
I got a couple things. I don't think I got anything outside of the parks. There were opportunities to buy things outside of the parks. I just did not avail myself of them.
Oh, okay. Because some of the less expensive Disney items are outside of the park.
Sorry, I was thinking resorts. I did go a little bit of shopping in downtown Disney.
There you go. Now, downtown Disney is another area. It's Disney. It's got the Disney flavor, but it's lots of shops. Used to be called Downtown Disney, and it's Disney Springs now. And no ticket required. It's in the downtown area of Orlando. And that was one of the things that we like to do, is go there to kind of get some of the Disney flavor. without spending a tremendous amount of money, but you are going to wind up spending some because these shops sometimes just scream at you. You see the sign and it calls your name and you're just drawn to it. So there is that about Disney Springs, but it's a really neat place to go. So, if you're looking at adding a cost effective experience onto your Walt Disney World vacation, look at those few options there, because you can spend an entire day, riding the monorail, catching the boat, floating across the lake, and things like that. Going to see the other resorts, walking around there. One of the things too, we were talking about animals earlier, and the Animal Kingdom has a viewing area. So you go to the Animal Kingdom, you go to the resort, and it's kind of at the end of the hallway, but you can't see every animal from there, but you can see a lot of them. And it's just a really neat thing to do. And again, no cost there, no ticket needed. So, which is really kind of cool. One tip about souvenirs, I'm just going to say that you can go to the Dollar Tree, either there or ahead of time, and you can get some really neat Disney things there for $1 each, or I should say $1 and up, since Dollar Tree has just changed their pricing format. So really inexpensive things there. Let's see. Candy the Wee Service Dog says, which place is best to stay at with a mobility scooter? And that's a great question. I have stayed in the Pop Century Resort, the Movies Resort, the campground, and I will say that probably all of those, you're going to have a little bit harder time at the campground. We've also stayed at the New Orleans Resort, Port Orleans. So of those, you're going to have a little harder time at the campground just because of the setup, unless perhaps you're in a cabin. But Disney World was really good to have outlets where you could plug up different things. And I saw many people having their scooters plugged in at different portions of the park. The Disney cast members would tell you where to go, and you could also go into the guest services area, and they can help you with that also. So as far as the best resort, I would say pretty much any of them, at least the ones I've been to, you're good to go. I didn't see any deal breakers at the Polynesian or the Animal Kingdom. We visited those, as well as the Grand Floridian. So I don't think you'd have any problems really at any of those, because I won't say that Disney caters to people who have disabilities, but they do make it informative, and they really try. So
Of all the parks
it's very helpful.
Of all the parks I've been to, Disney is the best for accessibility, far and away.
I would agree. Now I'm not a huge park person, but I've done Carowinds, King Island, Dollywood. Dollywood, I would say, ranks probably second.
Yeah, probably.
She's got a little bit more terrain issues because it's the mountains, so you're going to have more humps and bumps. But yeah, I think that from a scooter perspective, probably any of the resorts. I'm also trying to think too, because we had to rent a wheelchair one of the times we went, and didn't have any problems with the wheelchair. So I don't think you would with the scooter either. But again, guest services, you can also call ahead of time, and they can give you some information too. I see Stellarpiper's wheels are turning.
Yeah, there was. Sorry, what?
What are they turning to?
I was just thinking about scooters. I saw several people with scooters in the parks. but I don't know which resort is best.
Did you see anything that you would expect to be a deal breaker in where you stayed?
Um, we stayed in an older resort. We had a ground floor apartment, but there were stairs to get to the upstairs apartments. I do not
Okay.
know if there was an elevator. There was not an elevator.
Okay. So I guess if you're a Disney Vacation Club member, you could probably ask. I'm not a member, so I can't tell you.
I'm sure you
Can
could.
you um, can you check with your expert there next to you and ask if there's a number that you could call for more information on that?
Yes, statements requested.
So there is.
Other DVC results have.
Hang on. You say that again louder so YouTube can hear you. I guess not.
Basically just yes or no. Yes, there's a number people can call and get some help with that ahead of time, or no, there's not.
Yeah, there's a number.
Okay, there you go. So, all right, now Candy is saying, I was thinking about the pavement and hotel rooms, like having larger bathrooms, etc. Yeah, they've definitely got the larger bathrooms. Been there and done that. Accessible bathrooms that you could just roll into, or if you needed extra handles, so to speak, rails. Yeah, been there and done that. The last few times, though, I will say the last few times I have been in either the van camper or, well, I guess the van camper. We took our pop up one time, and then we were like, let's not do this again because it rained. And we took a tent one time, and that was really, woo!
That was a hot mess.
Yeah. Because we forgot and left the tent open and it stormed. So, yeah, hot mess. But in between times, we had the various rooms. I always have to have the accessible rooms and had no problems there. So, and of course, that's going to be based on availability. And with Walt Disney World, you really want to book ahead of time.
Yeah.
Just the minute you think you're going to go to Walt Disney World, book Walt Disney World. You know, whether you do it online or you go to a travel agent, either way you go, if you're thinking about a Walt Disney World vacation and you can kind of narrow down your dates, book it as soon as possible. Because especially if you need like an accessible room, or if you need, not all of the rooms have refrigerators. So if you've got insulin or something that is you have to have refrigeration for, you may need to reserve that refrigerator and have it delivered to your room. That is something that booking ahead of time really helps. So, I will also say Walt Disney World. Let me pull this up here so I can show the screen. Let's pull it up about military. Stellarpiper, what would you say is one of the really cool things about Walt Disney World from a perspective of someone who has epilepsy?
I can ride most of the rides. That's the coolest thing.
Okay. Okay, and I also want to mention for those who are in the U.S. military, they have special rates at some of the Walt Disney World resorts. And I'm going to pull this up because not many people know this. And if you're in our military or have served, you deserve all the breaks you can get. Okay? Just tossing that out there. The Disney World U.S. military members take advantage of great rates. This is for 2021, and it's got some information about things that you know before you go. This is running from January through mid-December, and you just check for availability. So just they have that. There's a details tab, which gives you the 411 on that. And it's for active or retired U.S. military personnel. So if you're an active retired member of, let's say, the National Guard, the Reservists, the Coast Guard, Space Force, let's see, Commission Corps of the Public Health Service, Command Corps of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, spouses of military service members also qualify if they're able to present valid and active U.S. military IDs in the absence of active or retired military personnel and Commission Corps members. And of course, your Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, etc. All of that is on the website. So there are some places that are excluded, but like I said, all the details are right there. So I do want to mention that. They don't do any kind of disability discounts, but they do have military. So do check into that. Because we've already talked about Disney being an expensive place, but there's a few different ways that you can kind of lower the cost, which is nice because we all want to lower the cost. Now, Stellar, you've been there more recently than I did. Whenever I go to a theme park, national park, state park, anything that's got the name of park in it, just about, one of the things that I do is I will go in, I will look around, I'll look at the prices, and then I will go to a staff member and I will say my magic words. Do you have a clearance section? And what items are on sale? Did you do that?
I did not.
You did not?
I did not.
Okay. Well, sometimes they have like a section of things that are on clearance, but they don't really like have this sign saying clearance, like they're not Walmart or Kmart, but they have the items kind of spread out, or they'll have a section where the items are less expensive. And so there are so many things in the shop because the shops are amazing. Don't you think, Stellar?
They're pretty great.
And there are so many things in the shops that you can overlook them. So go to a cast member and say, hey, and they can be so helpful. And I like to do that. Anyway, I'm just going to pick on the national park for a second because I do this everywhere. And like at the National Park Service, they had some t-shirts marked down to like $5 that I was able to get. At Walt Disney World, I got a really cute little bag one year for around $8. So it's one of those messenger bags that I carried until it fell apart. It was great. So that's one of the tips. Just go and ask, don't feel bad about it. It's your dollar. It's your dollar. So just check. So, yeah.
The clearance section at Kennedy was really well marked.
Good. I'm glad for that. If I go to Kennedy Space Center, and we could do a whole other program on that.
We could, for sure.
Something else too, also about Walt Disney World. One way to spend money, to save money that people don't think about is if you're a Sam's Club member. Costco may do this, I don't know, but I can tell you that Sam's Club sells Walt Disney World gift cards. Mm-hmm. Now, you're not getting them for like half price or anything like that, but you are getting them for a few dollars off. And if you are going to book your Walt Disney World vacation anyway, you can go to Sam's Club, you can buy the gift cards, and your savings are going to add up. So we actually wound up saving the equivalent of a couple or 3 lunches when we were there. So you may think, oh, well, I'm only getting the card for like $2.50 off. But look at the total picture. It does. Look at the total picture, and it can save. If you don't have a Sam's Club membership, Groupon usually has it. And I can put a link down in the description box too, so you can get a Sam's Club membership at a reduced cost, and perk or two with that.
Sam's also has fast food gift cards, which if you're on a road trip might be handy.
That is true. And you can use those outside of the park. AAA sometimes can help you out too with places to stay and some of the discounts there. So, well, Stellar, before we go here, what would be like your number one tip about Walt Disney World?
Wear comfy shoes.
Comfy shoes.
And bring water.
Do you need sunscreen?
Probably couldn't hurt.
Yeah, I'm just making a little dig at Stellar. Inside joke. She went on a vacation one time and she came back, she says, looking like a lobster, crab, some type of crustacean.
Yeah, it was not pleasant.
Also, I want to remind everybody before we leave, do click like on this live stream and subscribe if you haven't already done it. Also, make sure you share it with your friends because we want this to be helpful and informative. So do share this with your friends. It's a little bit of a departure from some of the things that we normally do, but hopefully you'll find it interesting and helpful. Also, down on the bottom of the screen, you're going to see some shout outs. So check that too, okay? So one quick thing before we go that doesn't have anything to do with Walt Disney World, it's a little housekeeping thing that I need to do, is that next week on the 30th, if you have not subscribed to our Facebook group, you want to go ahead and do that. Stellar, can you pop that in the description box? I'm sorry, in the video chat box.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to want to subscribe always, but we may not have our Saturday live stream. I'm going to be posting about that later in the week as far as whether or not we're going to be able to do the stream Saturday night. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is a lot of people are going to be doing trick-or-treaters because they'll do it on Saturday instead of on Sunday in some areas. The other thing is I've got surgery scheduled on Tuesday, and I got a series of videos that we'll be doing after that. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to be on Saturday evening. So we'll see. So those two reasons, we may not have our regular Saturday live stream at 7, and I'll be posting about that later in the week. So
and you can also visit the auction page.
Yes. The Service Dog Fundraising Auction, which is going fabulously well. Stellarpiper has just posted that link as well. So thank you, Stellar.
No problem.
So is there anything else that you would like to say, Stellar, before we go?
I think you've hit all the high points.
Okay. I do want to toss out a low point, so to speak, before we go. And that is if you do go to Walt Disney World and something goes wrong, they have first aid clinics. They're right there on the property in the park. Cast members can help you get there or direct you to them. So you can go to the first aid clinic. Ask me how I know this. No, actually, don't ask me how I know this. But you can go to the first aid clinic and they'll help you out. If you have to be transported to, let's say, a walk in clinic or a hospital, they actually have transportation arrangements set up. So they will take you to, the hospital or urgent care clinic and bring you back, which is really nice. And that service for transportation there was no cost for that. That was offered as a service through urgent care centers and special arrangements there with hospitals. They have the transportation. What?
There was one poor lady in Epcot that needed medical attention, and the only reason I knew something was wrong was because I happened to look over at the right time. There was no sirens, no big fuss made, none of that. So if you're worried about being embarrassed because you need medical attention and you're worried what people will think of you, don't be.
Oh, I quit worrying about that a long time ago, but I can see where people would be nervous and upset. So I kind of want to just toss that out and just kind of reassure people. And they can do anything from giving you a Band-Aid if your child scrapes their knee to on up to bigger things. So yeah, they were great. So, all right. So thank you all so much for coming in tonight. Again, don't forget to subscribe and like this video live stream, rather. Am I coming or going tonight? Okay. Like the live stream. And if I don't see you this coming Saturday, I will see you the next Saturday at 7 p.m. So thanks for watching. Always, we're about the hashtag Be Bodacious, because this is the Be Bodacious channel. And that simply means that you won't let life get in the way of living. You're going to follow your path, work with your limitations, expand your life, and you're not going to let it get in the way of living. And we have just been joined by Carry On, Jeff and John, fabulous channel, fabulous YouTubers. If you want to learn about cooking, this is the person, because he will actually answer your questions, which is phenomenal. Because I had no idea what fennel is or how to use it, and he did. So he responded and answered my question and got me out of the flaming fires. Great person. Aw. And he's always positive and upbeat. You rock, my darling, and thanks as always for your amazing friendship. Well, thank you for yours, Carry On, Jeff and John. We're about to sign off here. Usually I keep it to an hour, and yeah, we kind of blew past that. So thank you all. Thank you again. And do remember, again, always hashtag Be Bodacious. Don't let life get in the way of living. Go out and enjoy it. I'll talk to you soon.